Hello everyone, my name is Fatima Johora Rika and today I'll be presenting engineering ethics lessons from the Boeing 737 MAX crashes. This case is one of the rarest examples of how engineering decisions, communication and organizational culture can directly impact human lives. Studying this case changed the way I think about engineering. It reminded me that engineering is not only about technical work, it is about people, safety, and responsibility. When I first learned about the Boeing 737 MAX crashes, I was shocked because aviation is normally extremely safe. This case showed me how stress, poor communication, and ignored warnings can be just as dangerous as technical failures. It strengthened my belief that engineering is a commitment to honesty and protecting the public. Background of the 737 MAX. To understand what happened, we need to look at the background. Boeing was under pressure to compete with Airbus's A320neo. Instead of designing a new aircraft, they modified the older 737. The new engines were larger and changed how the plane behaved. To correct the nose-up tendency, Boeing added a software system, which is called MCAS. But to avoid extra pilot training, they did not clearly explain MCAS in their manuals or training programs. This decision became a major ethical problem. What went wrong? Two crashes in 2018 and 2019 killed 346 people. MCAS relied on a single angle of attack sensor. When that sensor gave incorrect data, MCAS repeatedly pushed the aircraft's nose down. Pilot did not know the system existed, so they had no way to understand or stop it. A hidden system, missing training, and lack of redundancy created a deadly chain of events. Ethical issues, public safety. The first ethical failure was the lack of prioritizing public safety. In aviation, critical systems must always have backups. MCAS had none. Depending on one sensor meant that one small failure could bring down an entire aircraft. This shows that safety was not treated as the highest priority. Ethical issues, transparency and accountability. The second issue was transparency. Boeing minimized information about MCS to avoid training costs. Pilots and airlines were not told how the system worked. Accountability also failed. The FAA delegated too much certification authority to Boeing, creating a conflict of interest. Engineers who raised concerns were ignored. This breakdown in responsibility contributed directly to the crashes. Ethical issues, pressure and decision making. Another major factor was pressure. Boeing rushed development to compete with Airbus, focusing on speed and cost instead of safety. This environment made it difficult for engineers to speak up. When business pressure becomes stronger, then engineering judgment, ethical decision making collapses. Analysis, technical and human factors. Technically, MCS was flawed because it depended on one sensor and activated repeatedly. Human factor made the situation worse. Pilots had only seconds to react during takeoff, and without proper training, they were confused and overwhelmed. This shows how technology and human behavior must always be considered together. Analysis, organizational culture and oversight. Inside Boeing, the organizational culture prioritized deadlines and profits over safety. Warnings from engineers were dismissed. At the same time, FAA oversight became too relaxed, allowing Boeing to self-certify many components. This combination weakened the entire safety system. Ethical frameworks. Several ethical frameworks help explain what went wrong. Utilitarianism, the decisions caused harm instead of benefit. Duty ethics, the duty to protect the public was violated. Virtue ethics, honesty and courage were missing when information was hidden. Professional codes, engineering codes clearly state that safety must come first. This framework shows that the failures were ethical, not just technical. Recommendations. To prevent similar tragedies, several actions are necessary. Add redundancy. Critical systems must have multiple sensors. Provide complete pilot training on all systems. Build a strong safety culture where engineers can speak up. Strengthen independent oversight. Communicate system changes clearly and honestly. Reduce business pressure on engineering teams. Ensure leaders prioritize ethics over profit. In conclusion, the Boeing 737 MAX crashes were not caused by one mistake. They were the result of many small decisions, shortcuts, and ignored warnings. This case shows how dangerous it is when communication breaks down and when safety is not treated as the highest priority. As future engineers, we must remember that our responsibility is to protect people. Ethics must guide every stage of our work, from design to testing to communication. The Boeing case is a powerful reminder that one overlooked warning or one hidden detail can cost lives. These are the references I used to make this presentation. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation and thank you for your time. Thank you.